Hello there everybody, how's it going? It's Jessie from Jessie Marie Knits Stuff here on YouTube, and I am here with episode 4, 2 months late. I'm sorry about that absence, but the title of this episode has got to be Knitting Bug Revival, because I'm finally knitting again, which is really sort of kind of helps explain why it's been 2 months since I did a knitting update. But before we get to that, I just want to thank you all so much for watching. Thank you for your messages encouraging me to come back and do a knitting update. I've wanted to, but it's hard for me to come and do a video and say, yeah, I knit 2 rows. Yeah, I knit a few rows here. That kind of wastes both of our time. And for a while there, I wasn't feeling like knitting, so I didn't want to portray that on my videos, and so I waited until the time was right, and that time is now. So thank you, again, for support and well wishes, and for watching. There are a million knitting podcasts, so many good ones coming out all the time, and so the fact that you want to take some time and watch my knitting updates, that's awesome. Today is Thursday, September the 15th, 2016. If you are coming to see this video after the cross-stitch video, then you already know this. If you only watch my knitting videos, first of all, I'm really sorry for the lengthy split between videos here, and also, I'm sick. I'm at the end of it. I'm trying to get better, but you can still hear it in my voice, and I can't breathe, and I cough a lot, and my nose itches, and I sneeze a lot. So it's a lot of fun over here these days. I have so many things to talk to you about with knitting, and I just got done watching my last knitting update, and I was so down in that video. Like, I don't know if the stress of Camp Loopy got to me, and I just wasn't interested in talking about knitting at the time, or what was going on, but I was not enthused, and so I just want to make sure that I am portraying that I am enthused, and I am happy to be knitting again. Much of this sick time has been devoted to knitting, and it's been pretty great. And as such, I have a finish. An unexpected finished object, if I'm honest, and one that I promised to show you off the blocking mats 2 months ago, and can finally show it to you now. So here it is. I'm wearing it. I guess we'll go ahead and get started with the finished objects. And it is shawl weather, y'all. It's not quite sweater weather, at least down here in Virginia. Today I think it's one of the cooler days. We're at almost 80. Just a week ago we were over 100, so it's not quite sweater weather, but I can call it shawl weather. So this is my Merwin shawl, and the color that you are seeing is so inaccurate, it's not even funny. And we're just going to have to roll with that today. It's highly overcast, and I'm not going to have a chance to do this video any other time but today, so we're going to have to roll with it. So my Merwin shawl was my project for the first month of Camp Loopy, and I'm going to take it off. I've got it around my neck like a kerchief, much like the model does in the preview. Wow, it's pretty warm for being a very lacy shawl. So here it is, all blocked out. I might block it again just because that bottom there, I don't know, it curls a little bit there at the bottom, and maybe there's nothing I can do about that, but I wish that was a little bit more dramatic. I wish that the point came down a lot more. But here it is. The lace looks so good and stretched out. I do think that I got the body blocked the way I wanted it to, so that's good. It's really just the points. I just wish that the points were a little bit more dramatic. They do curl a bit. So like I said, this was for Camp Libby project number 1 in June. And this is knit out of Volmisa Blend, which is a sport weight merino cashmere nylon base. And the colorway is a Ahoy. And I showed this as an actively blocking project about 2 months ago. So I love this because it's so big and airy. It gives me options for how I'm going to wear it. So, I mean, I like wearing it like a kerchief because then the lace gets shown off and it lays so pretty. And then in the winter months, I can pull up and cover my nose but still be able to breathe. I mean, I can't breathe now, but you know. But then I can also wear it like a traditional shawl, draped over my shoulders like so. I've also seen, not necessarily this shawl, but shawls of this style and size being worn more like a scarf, so like that. I wouldn't exactly know how to style that way, but nonetheless. So there we go, there we have it, and I'm going to bring it in, show you up just a little bit closer. The lace really opened up there in the body, but I love it. So I'm going to see if I can do this quickly and on camera. I admit it took me a long time to get it on my neck before I started recording today, but let's see if we can do this. Tuck under, not too shabby. It's good, and the cashmere makes it nice and soft. Yeah, it's good. And the wool, it's not itchy at all. I don't feel like scratching. I could wear this all day, no problem. So that is that there. But I have another finish. This is a not yet blocked finish. I finished it just last night. If you follow me on Instagram, I started one of the Instagram stories, whatever that is. I'm giving it a try to see what it's all about. That I was binding off. I shared that last night. And I finally finished the bind off. Now this is the Thunderstorm. It was a mystery knit along that started July of 2015. So obviously I'm a little bit far behind. And I cast mine on the 27th of July. And yeah, finished it up. So here is the finished object. Now I have a million ends to weave in. This is another one that's, the lace is going to be really open. There's a ton of eyelets in this one. Big eyelet sections, big eyelet ribbons, and then some more lace down at the bottom. So when I showed this to you last, I was in this section here. So there's 3 eyelet ribbons running across here, and because of our lighting, it's going to be difficult to see. So I finished this ribbon right here. So I had to finish up these 2 ribbons, and then this last section called Petrichor, and it's basically ribbing with eyelets. That was a bit of a challenge. 1 by 1 ribbing, roughly, 700 stitches total. No big deal. And then there's a garter stitch border to avoid curling as much as possible. And it is done. So this is not meant to be a 2-color shawl, it's meant to be a 1-color shawl, but I ran out of Thunderstorm. Like, I took as much as I possibly could to finish this, to get at least to that section so that I could take another color to finish it out. I just did not have enough of the Thunderstorm. So the yarn, let me steal a quick sip of tea, keep my throat happy. I don't have a whole lot left and it's gone cold, but hey, that's alright, we'll make it work. So the yarn, the black with, can't really see them unless you're looking for them, hints of deep, deep blue, is Thunderstorm by Madeline Tosh, and it is Tosh Merino Light. And then the dark turquoise tealy blue color there, Stitching May, if you watch this, I bet that this is your favorite color ever, is Esoteric by Tosh Merino Light. So, and I have a little bit of the skein left. So there's that. Now, I've used this for another shawl, coincidentally, that's also kind of a dark gray, and this color shawl. So I was already starting with leftovers. I used about 160 yards to do this, this last little chunk. So yeah, it's done. Ton of ends to weave in, like I said, because, let's see, first of all, I used up the whole skein, one whole skein of Thunderstorm, and then I had some leftovers from my doodler that I commandeered to use for this, and then I was knitting from two ends of the same ball on two different projects so that I could get a few more rows in on this, because I think when I showed this to you last, when I was working on this ribbon here, I had like maybe 2 yards of the Thunderstorm left, so I had to steal it from somewhere else. So there's that. And then the Esoteric, I ended up having a break in my yarn. So I had one teeny tiny skein and I thought, maybe I can get through it with this? No. So I ended up having to join the other ball there. It's just, you know, it's like a Frankenstein. That's what I'm going to call it. It's the Frankenstein Thunderstorm. Oh my god. That's perfect. So, there is my Thunderstorm. I do love it. Despite the fact that it took me over a year to knit, you know, on and off, of course. I absolutely love it. I will say that the, I'm not a huge fan of the increases that Alicia uses. She uses the make one increases, and they're mirrored, so there's make one lefts and make one rights, which isn't a problem. I've finally figured out how to navigate that, because there's like this saying that you can do that helps you remember which way you're supposed to go. So I left you out front, so that means that you insert the needle front to back, and then knit through the back. And I'll be right back. So if you're doing a make one right, then you insert the needle right, or excuse me, from back to front, knit through the front of the loop. That's not an issue. The issue that I had is that, so like here at the beginning, they're mirrored. So we had a make one right on one side and a make one left on the other side. That continued through the ribbons, but then, for whatever reason, I don't know, the big eyelet section there, she had to do make one right. No. Okay, so backtrack a little bit. Strike that, reverse it. So right side, it was a make one right and a make one right at the center. And then it was a make one left at the center and a make one left at the center. Get down to this eyelet section, it was make one right on the edge, make one left at the center, make one right at the center, make one left at the edge. Why? I don't know. Just to confuse people? Confuse me. But I ignored it, and I just did the make one rights went on the right side, the make one less one on the left side. That's the only way I could make it happen. It was too confusing otherwise. Okay, one more sip. So anyway, love it. Another shawl in the books. Another whip off the needles. Love it. This one I know is going to be scratchier than this. I mean, obviously. There's no cashmere content in this. Speaking of content, let's see. Is this it? Yeah. So Tosh Merino Lead is 100% superwash. I'll be so glad when this cold is over and I don't have coughing fits. Just for speaking. Okay. So, finished object. Bam. Down to 12 whips. Okay. So, let's get on to the whips. I have two that I have worked on. One of which you're probably wondering, why isn't that a finish? So, my Merwin was Camp Loopy for June, and then I'm supposed to work on my July project. It's a 3-month event. Where are my other two projects? This is where I lost my knitting bug. I'm not meant to be a monogamous knitter. And because Camp Loopy was forcing me to be monogamous, I said, fine, if you're going to force me to be monogamous, I'm not going to knit. So I lost Camp Loopy. And I decided pretty early on that I wasn't going to make it through my July project. So that was, that was that. So, but it is a whip. I'm not going to unknit it or anything. I just wasn't feeling the deadline aspect of it. So this is the Ashton Shawlette. And the designer is Dee O'Keefe. And I am knitting it out of Malabrigo sock in the Violetta Africana base, or colorway, excuse me. Where did it go? There it is. Yeah, Violetta Africana. The heck is on it? It's been sitting in this bag. No idea what's on that skein. Okay. So it's a dark purple that my camera, I'm sure, is struggling to show, but it's not terrible. So it's dark purple. Originally, my plan for the Camp Loopy project was to knit the shawl version, so to knit extra body sections and extra edging sections to use up the yardage so that I met the requirements of the project. I have now reduced down to doing just the shawlette, so I'm only using one skein. So here is where it stands currently. Okay, so I'm just going to fold it in half and just show you half of it. So I have finished up the body of the shawlette. And this will take some blocking to try to pull and open up the little lace details in there. And there's still, there's still much more to go. So it's not going to be this tiny. This is really small currently. So yeah, that's where I got to. And I will move on to the next section the next time I work on this. Part of the reason I think that I was not loving this is my yarn. So, I've got this other shawl that I haven't touched in forever that is cashmere and silk. I have my 3-color cashmere shawl. I have some really nice yarns. And Malabrigo is a beautiful yarn, don't get me wrong, but it's a sock base, so it's merino nylon. And it just wasn't giving me the joy that I was expecting it to. I think that the other reason that I lost steam on this is that what I wanted to knit, I couldn't because it didn't fit the perimeters. So, It wasn't meant to be this year. I will like this once it's done, and I will wear it. I mean, dark purple that looks blue on camera, that's really, really inaccurate. It's not that dusty either. I mean, it really is a deeper purple. So yeah, there's my Ashton shawlette, and I am knitting this on some Chago interchangeables. These are US size 5, 3.75 millimeter. Gotta love that. So yeah, and that is living in my bulldog bag. Love the bulldog bag. This is like my go-to travel bag. If I'm taking knitting with me, it almost always goes in this bag. Okay. Next, I have the other project that, okay. So this is my meteor shower shawl. And this is by Very Busy Monkey. And I'll show you the right side. So what we have here is Molly Ringwald at the bottom in Tosh Merino Light. Again, because I knit a lot of that. And on the side here we've got this textured detail. I think it's called a blackberry bush. Little baubles. And then we head up into the striped section, and I'm striping with Thunderstorm. So this is the project where I had my Thunderstorm shawl. I was knitting off this end, and then I've got this end attached to my meteor shower. And I wanted to make sure to leave enough yarn so that I could finish the meteor shower, because that would be a terrible game of yarn chicken. And as it turns out, this might take more yarn than I was expecting, because the edge is formed differently than I was expecting. I thought that the edging was just knit straight up, but it's not. So instead of knitting upwards like that, as I have been, it's knit side to side and down the length. So the stitches that I'm effectively working with are those. That's the wrong side. There's the front. And it's a continuation of that blackberry bush stitch all the way down these several hundred stitches. So I have quite a ways to go. But nonetheless, making some progress now. Yeah, I was really surprised to see that it was a knitted on edging. I just wasn't expecting it. So there's that. I do love knitted on edgings. They just take a little while. And this I am knitting on Chagu US 6 4 millimeters. Most popular size for shawl knitting. Seriously, I will never have enough size 6 needles. Not if I keep whipping like I am. But I'm not, because I'm going to start whipping down. So there's that. And those are all of my whips. So those are my whips currently that I have been working on in the last 2 months. So let's move on to future plans. So I made this decision a long time ago that while I really want to cast something else on, I'm not going to let myself, because I've got too many whips. One of my goals for this year was to get down to just 2 whips by the end of the year. I don't think that's going to happen. I've got too much going on right now. Too many cross-stitch, too much cross-stitch, too much reading, too much knitting. There's no way I'm going to knock out 10 more whips this year. No way. But I want to inspire myself to make some good progress. So I set a motivation for myself. What I did is I wrote down all of my knitting whips. And then I sort of had a look at them, and I'm like, okay, what is a reasonable goal for these? So for instance, for my 3-color cashmere shawl, my next goal is to finish section 1. For the Ashton shawlette, finish the repeats of the body. I've done that now. Thunderstorm, finish the shawl. So I wrote down all 13 of my projects at the time, listed these goals, and then random number generator picked 5 of them. Once I finish those 5 goals, then I'm going to let myself have a new cast on. So here are my current 5 goals. Ashton shawlette, finish the repeats of the body. Check. Let's see, meteor shower shawl, finish. All right, I'm working on that. I've got a long way to go on that, but nonetheless. The doodler, finish part 2. I haven't even started that, so I have a long way to go on that. Thunderstorm shawl, finish. Done. And chevron baby blanket, finish the first 3-color repeat. So the first maroon, orange, and cream repeat, I want to get through that. Once I finish those 5 goals, so I've got 3 left to go. Once I finish those 5 goals, then I'm going to let myself have a cast on. So now, my question to you is, what should I cast on next? I'm going to narrow it down because there's a world of patterns out there and more coming all the time. Of course, I want a shawl. So I've got 2 options here for shawls. The first one is it is the Emiliana by Lisa Haynes, or Hands. I believe it's Haynes. I believe. Emiliana is a 2-color shawl, and it is mosaic, and it is color work, but it's slip stitch color work, so it's not stranded or anything like that. It's slip stitch, and it creates this beautiful mosaic in the center. So you start with one color, come down to the mosaic, knit the mosaic, and then end off on your other color. So these are my 2 colors. The first is Paper, Madeline Tosh Merino Light, and the second is Sequoia. And I must have 2 skeins here because this cake is huge. And it is like it's like a ruby, but like a burned ruby. Very pretty. So I was using these in conjunction with Esoteric to knit a color work cowl that I messed up royally. I pulled the needle out and lost stitches, and I am a novice at picking up stitches. Picking up stitches in color work, I just couldn't. So I had to let that project go. And so this is what I've got left. And this is enough. It's a disaster, but, you know, whatever. So this would be my color A and my color B. That's for the Emiliana. The other shawl that I'm considering, and I have a feeling this one might have the more popular vote, it is the Waiting for Rain shawl. And this is by a designer whose name is escaping me because sick brain, so it's written down here. It is a Sylvia Bobilvia. I love that. Can't believe I forgot that. So it's called Waiting for Rain. This shawl is humongously popular. When it came out, it was like a frenzy of people knitting this thing. And I totally get why. I mean, it's just gorgeous. So it is a garter stitch body, and then it uses something that was previously unseen, as far as I know. She used short rows to insert lace sections into the middle of this thing. And of course, I'm going to have a picture so that you can see it. Absolutely gorgeous. And some of the projects are stunning. I saw somebody who had knit it out of bulky weight, and it calls for fingering weight, but somebody had knit it out of bulky weight, and it was this huge beautiful green blanket of a shawl, but it's gorgeous. Not to mention the photos that she had done were stunning as well. Anyway, so waiting for rain. It's been on my bucket list since it released, and I immediately ordered yarn for it. I kind of wish that I had gone a little bit less commercial, a little bit more independent, and I might still, but this is yarn that I have in my stash that I had bought for this. And it's a base that I have wanted to try. So yeah, it's Madeline Tosh. This is Dr. Zhivago's Sky, and it looks an awful lot like the, oh, what was that? The cowl that I knit. I can't remember the colorway. It looks an awful lot like that. But it's a little bit darker, and it's a little bit grayer. It's showing up far more blue than it actually is. It's got a much more of a gray tone. This is in the Twist Light base. It's not her sock base. It's not the Tosh Merino light base. It is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. So this is a traditional sock-like base. The Madeline Tosh sock is it's a 2-ply and it's only merino. There's no nylon in whatsoever. So I have 2 skeins of this. The shawl calls for about 840 yards, which is what this would be. So, what do you think, guys? Should I do Emiliana or Waiting for Rain? I'm in love with both. Eventually, I will have both. But which one should be my first goal-based reward? Hard to say. I have needles ready for both. A great big long fixed circular that I just had on my Thunderstorm. So I'm ready to go. Just sort of need some input on what I should do. But I'm going to have to not talk about that for a little bit. Of course, I want you guys' votes, but the more I talk about it, the more I want to cast it on, the more I'm like, the goals can wait. And I don't want to do that. I want to whip down. So, there's that. Now, the last thing that I have to show you and talk about is a little bit of stash acquisition. And for the foreseeable future, this is my last Yarny acquisition. Just because budget and whatnot. So I sadly had to cancel my Plucky Knitter subscription. It basically came down to I can keep my cross-stitch fabric subscriptions or the yarn one. So the yarn one went. So this was the last colorway that I got from the Plucky Knitter. And my subscription was a Primo fingering, which is fingering weight 385 yards, 75, 20, 5 merino cashmere nylon. I'm so glad that I got this color before I canceled. This is called I Carried a Watermelon. And some of you will probably get that reference immediately. Some of you might have to think on it for a second. So I'll give you a second. Okay, second over. We could do that all day. The inspiration is Dirty Dancing. So if you're like, what? Where the heck did that come from? I'm going to link it in the description box below of the clip where that line is from. It's so perfect because it's just a quintessential Dirty Dancing quote, but without being like an obvious one. It's not, nobody puts baby in the corner. So, love that. And it is like a pinky red. It's a beautiful watermelon color. So, very much enjoy that. And that will have to find its place somewhere. I think I have a plan, but I'm not going to talk about it just yet. Alright, ladies and gents. If there's any gents watching, I'm not sure. That's all I've got for you today. Just a little knitting update to let you know that I am now knitting again. my hope is to do these weekly updates. If I don't do weekly, I'll do bi-weekly, but I'm not gonna disappear for so long. Yeah, that's not cool. So that being said, thank you for watching, and thanks for subscribing. And if you have any questions for me, leave them in the comment box. If you want to vote on which shawl I should work on, leave that down there too. Alright guys, take care. Bye-bye.